Good morning, beautiful people. Again, from West Palm Beach. It's another beautiful day here. The sun is out, no clouds. I got a view on the palm trees. Yet I'm gonna spend the whole day probably inside, inside the West Palm Beach Convention Center because I'm attending Tony Robbins Business Mastery. And today is day 3. And for those of you who are listening to me the first time, hello, welcome. I'm Verena, and I am on a mission to empower more women to break out of the corporate cage and build their self-made wonderland. So becoming self-made, self-employed, and living life on their own terms. And yeah, I just wanted to give you a quick recap of what we did yesterday at Business Mastery. So day 2. And day 2 was a lot about strategic innovation and growth. So we talked a lot about how you can build innovation into your business strategically so that it is part of your culture and it's something that you constantly do and not something that you maybe think you can get done through like an innovation week or an innovation day. And what Tony says a lot is that basically your business is two things. Number one is innovation. And what he refers to as innovation is finding a better way to meet your customers' needs. And the second one is marketing. So marketing is getting people to want to do business with you. And also what we discussed yesterday, what I really liked is this approach of helping people buy instead of trying to sell to them. Right? So it's a bit of a different way of viewing things, which then kind of shifts also the energy around it, right? I think oftentimes, at least I get the feeling, when we're being sold to, people are trying to get something from us, right? And it sometimes feels uncomfortable. So with this marketing strategy, what you want to do is you want to add value, you want to give first, give without expectation, add value, and through that help people buy from you. And there is, of course, several ways to do that. And one that really stood out to me is actually, yeah, using video, because that is a way to get to know people. And I mean, I've recently started live streams already before attending the seminar, but it was a good confirmation yesterday to hear why video is such a powerful tool, because you can actually get to know people on video and you can really, yeah, also show your personality. And this is actually also something interesting we talked about and yesterday, which is that people on LinkedIn often try to come across very professional and, they don't necessarily show anything personal. But actually, what makes you relatable, what makes people understand you, get who you are, is actually if you show everything, if you're being completely authentic. And I have also talked about my yoga teacher trainings and that I teach yoga, that I give baths. I've talked about my other passions on LinkedIn. And when I did those posts, they actually got a lot of engagement. And I think that is really why, because people they want to see who we are. They want to see the whole human behind the screen, not just this supposedly professional side of us. So that was really interesting. And the other thing, again, yesterday was a lot of psychology. Yeah. Because everything starts with your psychology, with your mindset, with your belief set, with the state you're in, the story that you're telling yourself, right? If you're telling yourself you can't grow your business, or if you're telling yourself you can't run a business, or you can't be self-employed because you don't know how it works, then you're not going to do it. And of course you won't be able to do it. You never try. And if you don't try, you won't learn. And also yesterday was pretty interesting because it was about setting new goals for our business, like by how much do we want to grow our business in the next 6 to 12 months. And people really, like the questions came up, people just really got stuck in the how. So they couldn't even just, set a goal and without asking the question how. And this is exactly what is holding us back, right? I mean, it's not about setting completely unrealistic goals, but we're talking about like 10%, 20% growth, which, okay, if you're running a huge business can be quite ambitious, but also people who are not at that level of, or at that size yet. For them, it's also, and I mean, for me, quite frankly, it's also, yeah, if you think about 30% growth, sometimes can already feel intimidating. And why? Because we always think about the how. How should I do it? How is it possible? We get stuck in the how. However, if we really commit to something, if we really want something, if we just set our mind to doing it, we will find a way. And actually, that is exactly how it happened for me when I left the corporate world. There came a point where I was just so done with it. I was just, okay, I'm leaving. I'm out. I don't really know exactly what's the plan is, but I'm out. And then when I was out, I was like, okay, I don't want to go back. So I need to make this happen. And then the commitment was there. And even though things weren't always smooth and easy and didn't all go as expected or as I wished or desired, I was committed. And I was not going back. Like to this day, I'm saying, unless, I might have to sleep under a bridge, unless I get to that stage of, not making money or being poor, of course, I might consider going back. But before that, no. So this is the kind of commitment, right? And if you get to this level of commitment, everything is possible. And that doesn't mean you have to be at that level of commitment when you take the first step. Yeah, I mean, you need a certain level of commitment and then you take a step. And then your commitment also builds over time because you get into the experience. You see what's possible. You see the benefits of this decision, of this new path you're walking, of this new decision that you're making. And then your commitment grows. And often, and I mean, I was very much the same in the beginning. It's totally fine, right? You consume a lot of information. You try to understand how people do it, what are the exact steps, and you consume information, you consume information, you consume information. But Tony rightly said, your life doesn't change by consuming information. Your life changes when you act, when you make a decision. And it doesn't always have to be like a huge decision. It can be a small one, and a small one, and a small one. And then these compound, and then eventually you're able to make a bigger one. Yeah. So this is really this movement. Yeah. Getting moving, and then even small steps compound over time. And then eventually you're able to make the bigger one and see the benefits of it. So decide and act. And to be able to do that, we don't just need to understand information. We need to feel it in our body. We really need to embody it. And I've been talking about embodiment already previously a lot, like in my Women in Tech Empowerment, when it comes to building confidence, when it comes to installing new beliefs. Yeah, it's always about bringing those new beliefs, um, this new mindset into your body. Because if it's just up in your head, you get stuck. Tony also said, if you're in your head, you're dead. If you get in your head, you're dead. Because your head is, well, you just, you get stuck in a loop. Should I not? Blah, blah, blah. And it takes up a lot of energy. You just get drained and you don't do anything. So we need to bring the understanding in our head into our body so that we can actually feel it. Like we can feel the confidence, we can feel it's possible. And it doesn't, I'm not saying we need to feel certainty because that probably won't happen. And if it does, it would take you way too long to make the decision. But there needs to be some kind of confidence, something that you feel in your body. And I use that technique a lot already. So I speak, like when I make new goals, I speak them out loud to really, yeah, adjust my nervous system to these new goals. And that's also actually what we did yesterday. So we made a pledge by how much we wanted to grow our business. And then we put on powerful music and we walked around, yeah, yelling out or saying out loud this pledge and really moving with it and embodying this confidence and yeah, just accommodating your nervous system to this new goal, to this commitment, and really getting it into your body. Yeah, so because again, everything comes back to not being held back by fear, by your fear of not being good enough, fear of not being loved, fear of failure, and which is ultimately this kind of fear that we feel ashamed or guilty because we said we're going to do something and it didn't work, and then we feel ashamed. So it's all about becoming aware, becoming conscious of these mechanisms, and then being able to walk with it, and to a certain extent also, yeah, tune down these feelings a little bit because they're not going to go away 100%, right? It's always when you've done one thing, then there's a next probably, and that's great, right? That's life, that's growth. And so what he also says, if we don't grow, we die. And growth can be a very fulfilling thing, can be very rewarding. It's not always easy, but in the end, it's very rewarding. And you build more and more self-confidence, which in the end gives you more and more freedom, brings you closer to your desires, your dreams, everything you ever wanted. Okay, let me know in the comments if this was helpful, what you took away from this. I would love to hear from you. If there's something you even want to implement, you want to take away from this. And I'll be back here tomorrow talking about day 3. See you then.